Welcome back to Impact Podcast. My name is Jeremy Melton. I'm your host, along with Daniel and Maddie. On this show, we're going to uncover some things about life that can help you on your journey to make an impact on the world that we live in. This is episode number 7, and we have a special guest today. His name is Branden Holtsinger. Last week, before we do that, we did talk about ownership, and so, I'll start out with Maddie. Maddie, did you have any takeaways from ownership, our discussion on ownership?
Did I have takeaways? Yes. Hold on, let me get to my notes. It was so long ago, I don't. So we talked about, one of the words that stuck out to me was relentless. We talked about Notre Dame and Georgia. Go Dogs.
Yeah, we did. Relentless. That was a good word.
And so we looked that up. And ownership to me, I think, is pretty... it's hard for me, I think. Coming from a leadership role in my household, we talked about... I think you were the one that said that when things go wrong, look in the mirror. When things go right, look around you.
That's right.
And I think that that's kind of something I've taken to my life day to day, whether if I think I'm being a leader at work or in my house. You know, it's like friendships, everything. I think that it's a good little quote that you had there. I don't know if that was yours or from the book or...
I can't remember. I've heard it
very,
somewhere. Yeah,
very good.
Nothing's ever mine. It's always stuff that I heard. But there you go. We don't take credit for it, right?
Right.
But nonetheless, yeah, ownership is, we talked about the gateway into leadership, and so how important it is to own everything around you, and when it goes good and bad. And of course, we plug the book Extreme Ownership by Jocko and Leaf. It's an amazing book. Everybody needs to read it. If you're a leader, you have to read the book. So ownership's a big deal. Okay, so Daniel's not with us today. We do have a guest, my brother, Branden Holtsinger. I said my brother. I'm gonna introduce him as a leader today. He is my brother, and so I feel like I can introduce him as both, but I want him to speak from leadership, his leadership position, and I'll tell you why. He and I have conversations all the time about work and business, and obviously at every family function, and it's become a running joke. And he's laughing. My wife always says, "You and Branden have to get into these hot debates every time we're together for a family function." The last debate we got into was at Christmas. It was Christmas Eve, and we were at Mom's, and I seen something in him that I had not seen before, and it was his level of leadership has grown exponentially. And I'm pulling his chain right now, but Branden's done a really good job with the company that he owns and manages, and I was just proud of what the leader that he's become. And so I thought, what better person to bring on the show to interview. His leadership level has grown exponentially, and so we're going to talk about that today, hopefully. He has no idea where we're going, but we're going to take a ride. And so I want to welcome you, Branden. Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, and Branden's the co-founder of Concert Concrete and Concert Insulation, which is 2 growing businesses in Atlanta, Georgia. And so, again, he is my brother, but we're talking about him as a leader today and a business owner. And so I want him to share and impart the wisdom that I've heard him share with our audience. So, Branden, we're going to get started. Before we start the interview, tell me about your family. Tell the audience about your family. I obviously know your family, but
I would hope.
Well, I have 3 children, a wife, Jessica. We've been married for 14 years, together for 15. We have 2 daughters and a son. One daughter's 6 years old, just had her birthday on Christmas Day. And this is going to be part of my story, but her birthday's on Christmas Day, and then I got another one that's 13, Sarah, and then my wife. And then I have Mason, my son, which he's technically my stepson, but he's my boy. He's 21.
It's good. So that would be immediate family. And then, of course, your brother.
You're right.
I'm just kidding.
Absolutely.
You got nieces and nephews.
That's
and
right.
Big family.
We have a big family, great family.
Yeah. So, very good. All right. So let's just jump right in. We're going to talk shop. I'm going to hit you with some questions, Brandon. And if you feel like you want to come back to it, just say, hey, let's come back to that. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, what kind of impact do you desire to have on the world? I mean, when I say impact, what?
Well, that's deep. That's deep.
It is deep.
So, I think that's changed over the years, like the impact I want to have. And I would say more so recently, it's really changed, just because of relationships I've built and things that's happened in my life that has changed the direction of what I think I'm on this earth for.
Let me ask you a question about that. So you said it's changed recently. When did you start your business?
January 4th of 2020, right before COVID.
So 5 years ago.
Yep.
Okay.
And then we started the insulating. That's the concrete. Then we started the insulating.
Literally a year ago today.
Oh, wow.
It's January 4th.
Happy anniversary.
Thanks. I didn't even realize that.
Wow.
I was
cool.
like, wait, that's like right around this
Man.
time, I think.
Meant to be.
Hey, very good. Providential.
That's awesome.
That's right. And I can't quote the exact date when we started insulating, but approximately 3 years ago.
Okay. So you started your business. You came from pretty humble beginnings. We were plumbers and pipe fitters. Brandon was a plumber. But as a plumber, you were a leader at a certain level.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But would you say that your leadership has grown exponentially since the day that you started your company?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Opportunity changes your mindset. Opportunity changes how you think you're going to lead. I felt like my leadership really began at the company I was with, McKinney's, which is a great company. Still is. Love them. I had some great examples of what good leaders are, and I had great examples of what bad leaders are. And I've tried to build on that foundation. And as I when we started the company, I had an idea of what my leadership role would be and what I'm going to do and how I'm going to lead, and that's changed more times than I can count, just because it just does. I don't have an exact answer, but
So with each year that goes
Yeah, that's
by,
right.
maybe you recognize the need for that to grow more.
that's right. Different struggles, different experiences change my outlook on leadership.
Okay, that's good. So let's go back to the first question, but when I asked you what kind of impact do you desire to have, you said that it has changed. All right, so and the reason I went back to the question I went to is because I really want to figure out why it changed, and for two reasons. Number one, I think that you putting yourself in a position of business owner changed it, and then I think that maybe your walk with God also changed.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk about that if you'd like.
My leadership's changed because of experiences. Not some of them aren't so positive, but some of them are. I've had events happen throughout trying to get this business going and trying to make it whatever you want to call successful. And I've had different humbling experiences that's changed my approach, changed what I think about leadership. You want me to give you an example?
Yeah.
Okay. When we first started the company, there was just a handful of us doing the work. We were running the business or trying to run the business, learning the business, and also doing the work. We had a few guys, maybe 5 at the time. we had $0 in the account. Payroll was in 2 days. I'm reaching out to one of the biggest customer we had. I'm scratching and clawing to figure out how I'm gonna pay these employees that I had. Well, at the same time, I'm not bringing home I don't think we brought home a paycheck for the last 10, 12 weeks, which was hard. I called one of the head honchos at the company we was doing the most work for, and his response to me asking for money that they owed us was not what I was expecting. So that one event, he pretty much told me, well, how can I explain? We didn't have any money for payroll. I was asking for money that was owed to us, and he told me, if you want to play with the big boys, this is how it is. And if you can't handle working for a company like us, you need to find new customers.
Yeah.
Which was hurt, like it hurt me.
Yep.
It cut me deep.
Yep.
Not because I'm worried about myself, but I'm worried about the people that I've made a promise to, that I'm going to be able to write them a paycheck for what they've done. Mm-hmm. To make a long story short, he ended up giving me a piece of the money that was owed to us so we could make payroll. But that event changed my outlook on what my responsibility was and the role I took on and how serious I need to take it.
Sounds like it lit a fire to me.
Oh, man. Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, it did.
That's good. So
that's just one event. I mean, I could probably
well,
go on and on.
We're going to keep going. So that's what we want to talk about, the story. So, but again, let's go back. What kind of impact do you desire to have on the world? And you said it changed due to experiences.
Yeah, I would say.
But what is it now?
More recently, in the last few months, my impact on the world, I feel like it's changed. Do I know what it is? No. I don't know what direction I'm supposed to be going. But I do know whatever it is, it's supposed to be godly.
Okay.
Christ-like.
Okay. That's good.
We always grew up in church, and we had a great family that instilled great morals in us and godly morals, and we have a godly family, but I wasn't always living a godly life.
Right.
So we were invited to a church, and that one little invite has changed mine and my family's entire life.
How long ago was this?
I would say 2.5 months ago.
Wow. So it's fresh.
Not that I've always been a believer in Christ, but haven't walked a Christ-like life.
Been a follower.
That's
right.
right. That's right.
Yeah. So your recent decision to follow Christ has been directly responsible for materializing to what it is right now.
Right, and I also think that God is good. Okay, so I'll say that God is good. So He's given me things and provided for me when I didn't deserve them.
Okay.
So that's the outlook I need to have on life.
Right.
I want to be a giver. I want to be a provider. I want to, in every way, whether that's physical, emotional, mental, whatever it is, that's what I want to be. And I feel like I don't know what exact direction he has for me, but I do know it's going to be a godly thing.
Okay. I like it. Branden, how do you personally lead other people? Fundamentally.
I want to get in the grind with them. I don't want to lead them because I told them to do something. I don't want to lead them because I'm the boss. I don't even like that title as the boss. We're a team. Everything we do is a team, especially within the company. I want to lead them in a promising direction. So I used baseball a lot as my analogy for how to be a great leader. Snicker, Braves coach. You think he can go hit home runs? No. But he is positioning his players in the right spot to be the best team they can be. And that's what I try to do. Because I'm a dummy. I'm a dummy. Like, seriously, I'm not.
Brandon's, or you're over there shaking your head like Brandon is.
He's agreeing with me.
I know.
No, what I'm saying is he's being humble.
No, I'm a dummy.
Yeah, I
like,
know.
I'm not a dummy. But I'm a dummy when it comes to a lot of things.
That's all right.
But you don't have to be the smartest to be a great leader.
No.
You know, I barely graduated high school. I failed apprenticeship school the first year I was there. I mean, if it wasn't for my parents, I probably wouldn't have graduated high school. You know what I mean? But that doesn't matter. You know, you don't have to know everything to be a great leader.
That's good.
I like it.
That's wisdom. That's
Going down
wise.
in the note.
Yes. All right. So I love this question.
Did I answer the question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you what you said was you wanted to lead. He didn't from the ditch is what I say. Was what me and Tyler talked about. But you said you lead from
the
within,
grind.
from the grind.
And I would say I lead from the ditch or from the grind or
Trenches.
in there with them because I don't know how to lead. So I got to get in there with them to figure it out. If I don't know what these guys can do or what my team can do, how can I lead my team? And how do you know what your team can do unless you're with them?
That's right. Well, so present, right?
Yeah.
So your presence.
Yeah, active.
Yeah,
for sure.
active. So that's your leadership. Now, and that kind of gets into your leadership style. So the next question is, what would you say your leadership style is? And what I heard you say is you're a servant leader.
I wrote
Right?
that down.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I would
you
like
write-
to think so.
I wrote servant leader down.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, to make sure my team is secure. So my style is putting them first. If I put them first, I'm going to be taken care of.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So I tell them all the time. So in my position now, I'm not out there cutting concrete or putting on insulation, and I'm not necessarily the face of the company like I used to be. So my leadership style is changing because of how our company's changing and growing. But I would say my leadership style would be to make sure I'm positioning my team where they have challenges, but also challenges that aren't unrealistic. And to understand that they are the same as me, and I can't expect them to know something or to do something that I don't know or don't do. You know, that would be crazy. And to also win with a team. When you're winning as a team, you're winning as a team. When you're losing as a team, you're losing as a team. You don't, you know, it's not that they're losing and I'm winning all the time.
It's good.
You know, if my team fails, whether I'm involved in whatever act that failed or not, I failed. And that shows support for my team that they recognize.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
100.
which creates how can I say it? It creates a more dedicated teammate. Camaraderie, that's right. So I mean, and I would say my leadership style, which did I go off on? My leadership style would change depending on the scenario and situation too, because you can't be in between two walls if you're going to be a leader. There's so many different ways you have to lead.
Tyler alluded to that too.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So you lead based on the environment that you're in.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the need. What is the need? And a leader has to be able to recognize the need.
To change.
Whether that's the customer's need, your employee's need, or the company. You know.
That's right.
What is the need? And you got to be able to fulfill that.
Right.
Or try.
Yeah. That's good. That's wise. So one thing you said, I picked it up. It was very brief, but it reminded me of I heard Elon Musk say, he's a servant leader. I heard Elon Musk say, there are no lords and peasants at Tesla. Everybody uses the same elevator. Everybody uses the same bathroom. Everybody uses the same parking spots. There are no lords and peasants. And so what I'm hearing you say, Brandon, is that is your outlook as well. It's flat. Your guys are equal playing field to you. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what you said.
Oh, I got guys that work for me that are a lot more advanced and smarter than I am.
Yeah.
Well, I'm okay with that. I love surrounding myself with smarter people, and that's not hard for me to do. So
Reminds me too. I heard a guy say this once. If you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Oh yeah. I'm never the smartest. Even if I think I am, I'm not.
I love it. Humility in action. All right. So your leadership style, you've already said, it's evolved over time. It has changed drastically in the past 5 years, or just say, when you started your business, you've had to change and modify consistently.
Yep.
That's good. So you've kind of already answered that question.
Well, our growth within the company, you're forced to change, and if you don't, it's gonna be recognized. Your team's gonna let you know, indirectly or directly. They tend to do that, especially in construction.
All right, so let me ask you this, because this was a pretty cool question that we had asked Tyler. Can you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I almost got it.
Can you share a moment, a time when you realized that you were making an impact?
Well, I've thought about this question because I heard Tyler was asked. No, not necessarily a specific moment in time where I knew my leadership was making an impact. There's small pieces of information that I get where I feel like I'm making an impact, which would be my team's life. So, okay, I can say.
I was going to say.
I'll tell you a time.
You told me a story on Christmas Eve of a time.
Remind me, what was it? What did I tell you?
You were talking about your guy. I don't know his name. And
My investor?
No. The guy that's running the concrete.
Chris.
Yeah.
Okay.
You changed his life.
Okay, I'll get to that one. But one of the first times that I really realized, man, like this idea, what we're doing is changing people's life. I don't want to say it's me.
It's changed your life.
Yeah,
Chris's
I'm not going to
life.
say I'm responsible for
No.
this impact or change. I would say I helped initiate it. And then my team, it developed with my team. So we had a guy, and I'll say his name's Zach. He's one of our core guys, young guy, early 20s.
Zach may be listening, just so you know.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
I've told Zach this. I've told this story a lot.
Okay, tell it.
There's two events. So Zach came to us, and a customer recommended him to us. He was working at an Amazon warehouse, and when he came to the interview, you just seen something in him. It's like, man, I can make something out of this guy. He could be something. And he was hesitant in coming to work for us just because it's a rough industry. But he took that chance. And Zach went from living with his mama to now in a short period of time he's living on his own with his lady. I'm not sure if they're married, whatever, but with his lady, living on his own with his lady, supporting himself with opportunity that I know he never thought he would have. I feel like just seeing his growth, I can tell that the opportunity we provided him is making an impact. Now, he did it himself. He put in the work.
Yeah.
But us convincing him to give us a chance and him coming on our team and him executing like he has made a huge impact of his life.
Yes.
And to the point you were making, the guy, Chris is probably the heartbeat of the company. He was a core man before. He told me not too long ago that he can't believe that he's doing the things that he's doing.
Wow.
But the way I'm going to try to make an impact on people is giving people opportunity that they didn't think they would ever have. Mm-hmm. And when you give people opportunity that they don't think they would ever have, or somebody else wouldn't necessarily give them, they show out.
Oh yeah, every time.
They show out. People are more capable with the right support than they even think they are.
Yes.
And that's what I look for when it comes to making an impact. I want to employ people and give people opportunity that somebody else wouldn't give them.
That's good. Well, that's the definition of a leader. And when you begin to build other leaders, which is what you're doing, you're basically a leadership factory, right? So you're getting these guys that whatever they're doing in life, and you're mentoring and you're leading them, and then you're putting them in positions of leadership, which is your job.
That's right.
At this point. And so,
well, so you called me this morning and you said, you ready to do this? You know, we're excited about doing this. And I'm like, I was nervous because of my answer, not because of talking, just because I don't want to say something I shouldn't say. So I was like, I'm going to open my Bible and get some wisdom before I come. And I did. I opened it up to Mark. I'm not going to read it because I'm a very slow reader. But in Mark chapter 4, it talks about sowing seeds. And that's what I am. I'm a man that's supposed to sow seeds and let my team water them, me water them, and see it develop. That's what I'm supposed to do.
good.
Right now. And I feel like a great leader can recognize where they're failing. And for me, Christ, God has helped me do that. You know.
Good. Yeah. That's good. And you're embracing that.
That's right.
And you learn from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think one thing that you were just talking about in the first sentence that you said about Zach, whoever Zach is, you said you wanted to give him a chance. And I think that is something that non-leaders don't do. You don't see non-leaders looking at someone and seeing potential. You say, oh, we got to fill this position. We got to,
Right.
whatever. And the fact that maybe it wasn't the most qualified candidate, or I'm not saying that Zach is, but like when I hear someone like you say that you saw something in him and you there was just something about him, like you wanted him to succeed, that's something that most people don't say. I mean, it's really hard to look at somebody and be like, I want to do good for this person. I want to give this guy the opportunity because I can see it in him.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, being able to see that is a very strong leadership capability.
One of the greatest rewards for me with being part of this company and part owner, or whatever you want to call it, is seeing the change in my team. Because I know if I take care of them, they're going to take care of me.
Right.
And what I've realized, back to the point of I'm not the face of the company anymore. I'm not out there putting in the work like they are. I'm depending on them to feed my family.
100%.
At the same time, they're depending on me to help feed their family. Mm-hmm. You know, and if they weren't out there performing and putting the work in like they are, I'd be
hungry.
Yeah, I'd be hungry. I'd be right back at McKinney's, which is a great company, but I wouldn't have the opportunity I have now.
Yeah. The opportunity to impact others.
That's right.
So a lot of people say, why do you want to go into business for yourself? Well, man, that's where you get to have the most impact on other people.
That's right.
And so that's what leaders do, right? And so, all right, so here's the drum roll. Get a drum roll for this one. Who has been a major influence in your life? Who has had what person on the planet has had an impact on your life to bring you to where you are today? And there may be multiple.
Oh, there's a lot.
Yeah, so you can go through a couple.
There's a lot in different stages of my life. Yeah, absolutely. So let's start back at McKinney's as a plumber. There were two men that really impacted my life. So let me say this. My dad, he's always impacted me just through support, telling me things I necessarily didn't want to hear sometimes.
A lot of times.
Encouraging me, always believing in me. He's made a huge impact, but that's the man that I know is going to be there. You know what I mean? I want to talk about people that you don't necessarily know is going to be an impact or have a huge influence on your life. And I would say the first one would be John Weber. John Weber, he was my leader, my boss, my friend, I would say, my second dad, you know. He looked out for me, protected me when I didn't need to be protected.
Yeah.
He gave me opportunity when just like I'm trying to do for others, gave me opportunity to show out, to do what I can do, to be all I can be. Even when other people are like, no, man, let's get rid of this guy. He's sorry. So John Weber's been a great impact. He's taught me a lot of my work life, how to get started, how to make a difference in the commercial construction world. And there's a lot of examples that I could reference for why he's impacted me, but he has. I would say the third biggest leader that's made an impact on my life would be Nick Austin.
Okay.
Nick Austin was a guy I worked hand in hand with for 8 years. Rode with him to work every single day. Talked about personal life, talked about work life. He's impacted my life in more ways than I can probably tell you right now. One of the big ways would be he's impacted me. Unfortunately, it took lots of years later for me to really dial in on this, but keeping my family in church, leading in that direction. And this is a work friend now.
Yeah.
This is a guy you used to work for. You
Sure.
introduced me to. So this guy's trying to influence my life in ways that don't even benefit him. We can talk about work and he can influence me about work life, and that directly benefits him. But he's trying to help me in my life of, be a good dad. He's the first one that invited us to a church outside of my family's churches. And then at work, he's the same way. He looks out for his team. But he also showed me ways that I didn't want to lead, which he knows about this, so I feel comfortable saying. But I always told him, because he would talk to me like I'm a dog, He was rough on us. And I'm okay with that. I wasn't okay with it then, but I always told him, if I'm ever a boss or I'm ever the leader or the foreman, I will not talk to people like you do.
You told him this.
Absolutely, multiple times.
I love it.
Multiple times.
It's
He
funny.
knows it.
It's funny because I have followed the same guys prior to, which nobody knows that, but I worked for John and Nick, and I would echo the same exact thing. So carry on.
And his leadership skills have changed from the time I worked with him to now. He's a different leader.
Oh yeah.
Just like mine.
Yeah.
Everything.
He used to throw channel locks at me.
Oh, he was rough. He was rough. He wanted to get, and I would, that's how I'm going to talk about John again. Nick, there was multiple times in my apprenticeship that John would get the phone call from him and be like, we got to fire this guy. He's got to go,
Yeah.
And John's like, no, we're not doing that. He's a good worker. We're going to keep him. We're going to keep plugging in him. And
You're John's Zach.
yeah, that's right. That's right. I am Zach for John. That's
Yeah.
right.
That's good.
Yeah, I've never thought about it like that, but it is.
Thank you for pointing that out, man. That's good.
But those two guys right there have had a huge impact on my life, and I don't even think they know that. Like, I know that I've told them, but I don't think they know how much of an impact they've had.
They will now. They're going to hear this.
Right.
That's good. So, and by the way, Nick,
I feel indebted to them.
No,
Like, I do,
absolutely.
in a good way. I feel indebted.
And Nick, you did throw channel locks at me, but I never filed charges, so we're good. But no, thank you for sharing. So
No, wait, we got to challenge him though.
yeah,
Like we did the first week.
Do
We
it.
talked about the most impactful people in our lives, and then Danny Brown told us that we had to call every person that we talked about. So this week you got to call those people. And
Oh,
tell
I
them.
will. I would love that.
It feels good.
no,
Yeah.
it's good. So Danny, it's a good point where he challenged us. Hey, call those guys, and so we were charged, and so you got to call Nick and John
I will.
and let them know that what you said. They
I
were.
have, but I will again.
Well, and then you can let them know. Just be looking out for this podcast,
Yeah.
and
Give
don't
a
be
little
mad
plug.
at us. Yeah,
Well, even to this day, like Nick's a leader for me. I look up to him. I call him when I, struggle on certain things that I'm trying to decide on, or he calls me just like he called me the other day just to check on me, make sure I'm okay. Like, he's just a customer to me now, but he's a friend. He's a leader. He's thinking about me, and that's what I need to do. I need to do exactly what he's doing, and I try to.
I think it makes a good point, though, to point that out, that just because you're in this leadership role, you own your own company and whatnot, it shows that being a leader is not just owning your own company.
That's
So
right.
it's in your friendships, it's in your day-to-day life, in your home, it's in every single breath of life. It's not just about being that manager position that we talk about.
That's right. Oh, no doubt, your personal life influences your professional life in a lot of ways. You know, people like to say, "Oh, you got to leave your personal life at home, and this is work life." Well, you know that I understand that, but your personal life is directly affected by your work life, and your work life directly affected by your personal life.
Yes.
So if you can try to have them both in order, things go a little smoother. Not smooth, but a little smoother.
As you grow in leadership, that need becomes greater. You can be a worker, which you can be a worker and a leader at the same time, but you cannot have any leadership bandwidth. You cannot be in a leadership position, and you can manage that. But when you get into a leadership position, you can't. It's very difficult to have one without the other.
Mm-hmm.
They go together, and so that's interesting. Okay. Before I move on, do you have another person that you want to talk about that had an influence in your life besides those three? Or we can move on. It's okay. I just want to make sure we're good there.
Yeah, recently Ryan, my pastor,
Okay.
Church 213, he's had a huge impact. Like I said, his small invite. So what's his slogan that he has a few, but he's be a bringer. That's what he says all the time, be a bringer.
Tell me about it.
So my daughter and his daughter played on the same middle school softball team, and he was there. I didn't even know he was a pastor of a church. Got to chit-chatting, he was like, "Hey, come to Church 213, you know." And at the time, me and my wife have talked about getting back into church, but we've never really found a place that we felt like we belonged, you know. And he invited us, and you know, I'm a person that if I tell you I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it, even if I don't want to do it. And I'm a yes person. So just like this interview, I don't necessarily want to sit down and do this, but how am I supposed to grow without doing it? You know what I mean? So that was that same scenario with Ryan. He's like, "Hey man, not join, but come to Church 213 and, you know, give it a chance." I was like, "All right, yeah, I'll do it," you know, because I don't want to be like, "Heck no, man, I ain't coming to your church," you know. So I had that weighing on me for a few days, and I think one Sunday passed, and we didn't go, but me and my wife had talked about it a couple times, and then the next Sunday was coming. I was like, "Look, like I told him, we gotta go. At least try. If we don't like it, we won't go back." And we did. We tried. We gave it a chance, and just him saying, "Hey man, you try us out," and him being a bringer, like he is practicing what he's preaching. And leaders have to do that. Practice what they preach. If you're going to say it, do it too. So we went, and man, it's changed my life. Like,
So did you know he was the
I
pastor?
can't talk about it too much because I'll start crying.
Oh.
I'm serious.
That's okay.
Like, it's changed my life.
That's good.
So at what point did you find out that he was the pastor of the church? Is it before you went, or is
When my wife looked the church up online.
So you didn't know he was the pastor?
right?
Not at
That's
first,
what I
no,
mean.
I
I
did
think
not.
that's a great quality.
Right.
I mean,
And as a leader, he's not saying, "I'm the boss," or "I'm the
Right.
preacher," or "I'm the pastor." He's just doing God's work.
right?
Sounds like we need to interview him.
Yeah.
Oh, he'd be a great one.
Yeah.
But he's being a bringer. He's putting in the work.
Yeah.
And whether it's in your personal life or your work life, you got to put the work in if you want results. So recently he has had I would say it's God. I'll give Ryan some praise, but it's God. But Ryan has initiated that.
Ryan's been the tool.
That's right. You yourself have made a huge impact on my life. More recently than ever, just because I know I've known you for a long time, Danny, and obviously you're my brother. But our relationship wasn't like it has been in the last, say, year or two. And just conversations with you enlighten me on a different leader's perspective, which helps me analyze what kind of leader I am. And you've had success of leading big groups of people, or whether it's in your personal life or work life, I've seen the success. So when you see success in other leaders, you tend to want to follow that, or try to mimic that. And I've done some of that with some things that I've learned from you. So you have been a great impact on my life. I mean, I could go on and on. Even, I would say, I'm going to leave it, my last person that I say have really influenced my life. So we hired this guy named Blake Young. He's our shop guy. He manages the shop and tools, and he does all kinds of stuff. But he's in a similar boat to me. Been brought up in church and went to Christian school, and worked in the construction field and strayed away from Christ. And talking to him at work about work stuff and personal stuff, his outlook on things and his willingness to be humiliated by talking about his life has directly impacted mine. You'll meet this guy at Real Momentum, but I've made it a point to learn the scripture better, so I can back up what I'm saying and my experiences with something biblical. And he can do that. Like, he does that. Like, you reference something in your life that's happening, an event, and he can back it up with scripture. Well, I'm his boss, but he's still a person that I look up to, that I strive to be more like.
That's great.
You
That's
know,
good. So he has influence over
absolutely,
you
absolutely.
as a subordinate.
And there's a lot of people in my life like that, and that's what I want, whether they're helpers at our company or the pastor at our church or just a friend. I want to absorb any positive information or direction that they can give me.
That's good. Like a sponge.
That's right.
So that is the embodiment of leadership, and just like he's like absorbing. I mean, all that's really, really solid. So, I mean, based on how this is going, we could talk for hours.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. We're gonna start landing the plane, but if I told you there was one thing that you could share with the world that you like, if I told you I'm about to cut it, one thing you want to share with anybody about anything, what would it be?
Man. Okay.
And then I'll say that if there's more that you'd like to share later, we're going to do a lot more of these podcasts.
Okay.
So you can always come back.
I would say
on this one.
build a foundation before you try to build the building. You know, make sure your roots are established before you start picking apples off the tree. I would also say the biggest thing is, and this has rang true in so many areas of my life, and I'm going to tell you 2 stories after, but the power of prayer. Like anything you do in life, the power of prayer is so impactful. Whether it's the answer you wanted or the answer you didn't want. Power of prayer. There's nothing that you can't lay on Christ or God that he won't help you with. Just like this thing this morning, I opened my Bible and I jokingly said, I'm going to get some wisdom out of this. And I opened up to Mark 4. It's like, boom, it's right there. So put God first. That's the one true love in my life that will never leave me. Put God first, and he will make everything else easier in your life. Your marriage, your work, I just started. I'm a baby when it comes to really dedicating my life to Christ. And ever since me and my wife made that decision, our life has been so much better. Whether it's marriage or work, like it's just, it's incredible. I'm gonna tell you one story about power of prayer. So, and you know this story, but my oldest daughter, Sarah, when Jessica was pregnant, Sarah had this, I'm not sure if you call it disease, this situation, I'm going to say a situation, called trisomy 18. So when she was pregnant, she wasn't supposed to, if she was born, she wasn't going to be, living very long if she was born. And if she even made it through the pregnancy. So we had this is at a time where we weren't involved in church. And if we were visiting a church, it wasn't genuine. We were just going through the motions, but we had a lot of people praying for us, whether family, church family, people we didn't even know. So we go to this, I'm going to condense it, but we went to 3 or 4 specialists. Every specialist seen the same thing. We physically seen it with our own eyes, this mass that was on her neck from the ultrasound. We had been praying. We went to the last specialist. We had made up our mind that if Sarah did have this trisomy 18, that we were going to make the decision to have an abortion because we didn't want anything to happen to Jessica. And that was a chance. Well, we were sitting there, and the doctor, he was an Indian or a different nationality. I'm not sure what he was, but he was doing the ultrasound, and I was sitting in one spot. My mother-in-law was beside me, and my wife was on the bed. And I had known that people were praying for us, Well, I was physically, and I'm a believer, but I wasn't living like I should. But God's grace is
You weren't following.
incredible. So I was praying like, look, and this is the prayer that I prayed multiple times about multiple things. God, if you're real, prove it. Show me. Like, you can do this. My dad just told me miracles happen in the Bible. Miracles happen today. It's recognizing the miracle. And I was praying, and the doctor was scanning her stomach, and we seen it on the screen. He physically looked at me. Nobody knew I was praying. And he was like, he actually looked at Jessica. He said, I don't know if y'all are religious or who you're praying to, but I would keep doing it because there's nothing here. Nothing here. And if that's not God going, look at me. I'm here. Man, Blake Young, the man I was just talking about.
Oh, that's funny.
But so the power of prayer is real. All right. Still didn't follow Christ like I should. Failed. Miserably failed.
Even though he proved it.
Even though his grace is so good, or if that's how you want to say it, he spared me and my wife from making a lifelong decision that we would have to stomach, and probably a regret. No doubt a regret. Okay. The second story is Levy. I'm going to say we were worried to death when she got pregnant with Levy, or I was worried that we were going to go through these similar things. And, we prayed about it. I prayed about it personally. I know my wife did. And then she's born on Christmas Day. If that's not God knocking on my door again, giving me another chance, I don't know what it is. So I try to live my life like that. Have grace and understanding, and that people are going to fail. My team's going to fail. But I'm here to support and lend that hand that they need to succeed.
Love them like Christ.
Just like Christ.
Yeah, like he loves you.
That's right.
Yeah, that's good.
So that would be my answer to that question.
That's a very good answer to that question. So, on this show, we always talk about intentional living and leadership in order to make an impact and leave a legacy. How will you walk away today, finishing this, having done this? What kind of impact did this show have on you?
No, it got me out of my comfort zone. Like, like, I don't mind sharing personal things, but it's hard to share personal things knowing it's about to be recorded.
In live for everybody.
That's right. That's right. But it's important. You know, it's important to share your experiences and your failures and growth so people can relate. Because everybody fails and everybody succeeds, but people like to relate to others so they don't feel isolated. They don't feel like they're the only one doing it or going through it or experiencing it or have challenges. So what I would like to take away from this is continue to put myself out there. I want to continue to do uncomfortable things, whether it be work or personal. I want to continue to say yes, because without those yeses, I don't have those experiences.
That's right. Well, I'll go on record and say that you've done a phenomenal job today, and that the stuff that you said today will guaranteed change someone's life. Okay, and I know that because the stuff that you shared today is super impactful. And from your faith to your leadership, you've grown as a person. And the impact that you have has only grown. So that's all I'm going to say about it. Maddie, you got anything?
If anything, you impacted 3 people.
That's good.
No, I think that, I guess my takeaway is what you're asking. One, power of prayer, which is what you just said, but the building of a foundation before you build the buildings, or make sure you have a strong root system before picking apples from the tree. I think that just encompasses every walk of life. I mean, it's just, if you apply that to everything that you do intentionally, then I think that
you cannot not succeed.
Right, you'll be successful.
That's right.
So.
Brandon, I'm proud of you and the leader that you become, and obviously a man of God on your way to be a tremendous man of God. And I think the future's bright. And so I just want to say thank you for coming.
Thank you for challenging me.
Thanks for sharing everything too. That was great.
Anything else before we go?
Mm-mm.
All right.
No.
Signing
I
off.
was like, is that a trick question?
Thank y'all. This is Jeremy and Maddie and Branden Holtsinger and Daniel Brown. Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.